Well, Senator Ted Cruz himself joins us now to discuss from the Senate Judiciary Committee. Sir, appreciate you joining, appreciate you taking the time out of your day. How have we gotten to a place where we literally can't define the difference?
Carl, it's truly insane. The left, this is no longer even a battle between left and right. It's a battle between sanity and insanity. That question, is there a difference between women and men? Is there a difference between boys and girls? For the entire history of humanity, for millennia, people have known the answer to that. That was an obvious question.
Yeah.
You know, the follow-up question I asked her, which she refused to answer also, I said, well, why do we have women's sports? Well, why is there girls' sports? Why do you have the WNBA? If there's no difference, you know, Title IX was landmark civil rights legislation. Listen, I've got two young girls. They're athletes. They're incredibly talented. You look at Title IX that has led to millions of girls and millions of women competing in athletics, getting all the benefits of training and teamwork, and it's been incredibly beneficial. And yet these radicals who want to say there's no difference, the effect of it is to eliminate girls' sports and women's sports, and they're willing to do that. She had no answer for why women's sports exist. Why not in swimming? Why not just have the women and men swim against each other? And the answer, by the way, would be that you would end up having, if you look at the records, whether it's in swimming, whether it's in track and field, there is a very significant differential. I cited later in the hearing, in 2017, the fastest woman in the world in the 100-meter dash, more than 2,300 men that same year recorded a faster time at a track meet that year than the fastest woman in the world. And so if you want to eliminate girls' sports and women's sports, embrace this radical leftist ideology.
Right, but we're seeing this across the board, Senator, where you have a number of people. Look at some of the colleges right now. They've gone so woke that they're actually resegregating even by race sometimes. Like, didn't we fight like the whole civil rights movement to get away with that? And now they're diving back into pre-Title IX? Why?
Look, the left is fundamentally racist. And that sounds harsh. And look, you can take the history of it, whether the Democrats, it was Democrats who founded the Ku Klux Klan. It was Democrats who wrote the Jim Crow laws. It is Democrats who have embraced racism for a long time. But if you get to today, you get to the radical left, you get to critical race theory, and their embrace of what they call anti-racism, which is actually that government should discriminate based on race. It is an embrace of this that they welcome. And on the question of women's sports and girls' sports, this is fundamentally about fairness. And one of the things they say, oh, it's discrimination against people who are gay and lesbian. No, it's not. And let me be clear about something. If a girl wants to compete in boys' sports and she has the skills to do so, hey, that's great. That's fine, because there are physiological differences between boys and girls. And if a girl is, let's say if a woman is good enough to compete in the NBA, maybe that might happen. There's a reason we have a WNBA, because right now the differential is great enough that maybe one day you'll have a woman who's such a good player that she competes in the NBA. That'd be fantastic. You see in college football occasionally women that are able to be field goal kickers and punters and compete in football. And if they have the skills to do so, that's fine. But the difference is it's not unfair for that to happen. It's unfair going the other way around. It's unfair when you have someone like Leah Thomas, who has a man's chest, a man's body, arms. I mean, Leah Thomas looks like Michael Phelps.
Right.
And you know, we had Riley Gaines testifying. It was swimming against Leah Thomas. And how fundamentally unfair is it for her to have to compete against someone who has a man's body and the physical attributes that go with that? And it ends up being, I think, deeply destructive to women's sports and girls' sports.
Right, beyond destruction, though, Senator, Riley Gaines testified at today's hearing, and I want to play some of her remarks about sharing a locker room with Leah Thomas.
Yeah.
To being forced to give up our awards and our titles and our opportunities. The NCAA forced me and my female swimmers to share a locker room with Thomas, a 6'4", 22-year-old male equipped with and exposing male genitalia. And we were forced to take off our swimsuit in front of a man who was doing the exact same thing.
Senator, as a father of a young girl myself, I'd not be okay with that.
No, no. I mean, it is a radical ideology that is unhinged from common sense, and it's. I think it's really dangerous. And I will say, look, this is something where you're seeing a lot of people, you're seeing a lot of moms across the country that are going, this doesn't make sense. I don't want naked men in the locker room with my little girl.
100%.
And yet these zealots, that's what they're trying to push. And let me say, Riley Gaines, the courage she has shown speaking out because the left hates her. They've been vicious. They've been nasty. They slandered her. They've gone out after her. An angry mob at a university tried to come against her and physically assault her.
They did.
Because they want to intimidate her. And that woman has enormous courage.
Right.
I commend her for speaking out.
I think we all do definitely give her a ton of credit for what she's doing. The Cruz missile himself, Senator Ted Cruz, always a pleasure, sir. Real honor to have you on.